So if you don't feel like you can easily wake up in the morning, go through the whole day without needing a nap or reaching for multiple cups of coffee, and you don't feel like you can make it until an appropriate bedtime, maybe 9 o'clock if you start getting tired, perfect. Should be able to wake up at 6 easily. If you can't do that and get through a day like that, then something deeper is going on. And maybe it's thyroid, or maybe it's iron, or maybe it's your gut, or maybe it's a food sensitivity. There's so many different things, but you should be able to get up, feel energetic, get through your whole day without dips, without crashes. Blood sugar imbalance is another one that causes a lot of crashes.
Yeah.
And if you're not able to do that, don't let anyone convince you, oh, it's because you're busy. Oh, it's because you're a mom. Oh, it's because
Yeah.
you have kids. Like, that's not normal. You should be able to be a busy mom with kids and a job or whatever you want to do and not fall asleep at your desk at 2 o'clock and not feel
Right.
like,
Are there any other kind of closing thoughts you have for women out there, maybe words of encouragement or advice that come to mind, and would you mind sharing some of those?
Um, I really want to tell everyone that it is truly, truly possible to get back in shape.
Hmm.
Truly. You just have to have the right strategy.
Hmm.
And I'm so confident when I say that because firsthand experience, right? I struggled for so many years and I really thought, oh, maybe this is how it's going to be now because I was almost 49. I was like, oh my god, this is what it looks like when I should be grateful that I had a great body for the last 20 years, and 50 is just going to be like this. But it does not, and I repeat, it does not.
And more than that, how we actually create a new identity, because that is something people don't think about when it comes to weight loss or health changes, how we actually need to step into a new identity and let go of at least parts of our old one. So let's just say you are having a glass of wine 4 to 5 nights a week just to calm down, or to wind down after work. That might not seem like a big thing, and you might even say, hey, I fit that into my calorie budget, Lisa. I don't know what you're talking about. And I used to tolerate that just fine in my 30s and early 40s. Now I might be in menopause, and you are, or going through the menopause transition, and you're telling me I should let go of this glass of wine. But if we even just strip that back to like, I'm only having that 3 times a week or 2 times a week or whatever. And then at some point you're like, oh no, I'm the person who doesn't habitually drink anymore. I only drink on special occasions. And that transfers over to, oh, I have that daily muffin or chocolate or whatever, and making that into something special, and then making that into the person who's known to make the better choices, to the person that's not overeating but eating in moderation. Like, we really have to think of like, who do I want to become, not just what outcome do I want to achieve, not just
I did want to circle back to women's health and hyperthyroidism, Hashimoto's, things like that. How do these, specifically for women's health, how do, say, Hashimoto's or hypothyroidism, or if you have to delineate between the two, like how do these things affect like the menstrual cycle? Like
Mm.
how do they play out? Is there certain things maybe women would expect to experience at different times in the month if they might have one of these conditions or one of these issues?
Yeah, good question. So I think it manifests in a few different ways. I think from a non-fertility perspective, it can shift your menstrual cycle timing. Like it can make your cycles go longer. Maybe you have a period every 45 days or 2 months. It can also do the reverse. It can shorten your cycles by way of lowering progesterone. One of the first consequences or sequela that I see with thyroid issues in women is a drop in progesterone. And that leads to like anxiety,
Mm,
irritability, agitation, insomnia, worse than leading up to your period, like PMS, that's worse, right? Um, Breast tenderness, rage, depression leading up to your period, heavy periods, crampy periods, moody periods, dysregulated cycles. So big impact. And then in the fertility perspective, I think this is, honestly, I think it's a travesty because these poor women are going through IVF and spending all of this money and all of this emotional energy. And a lot of the time, it's just simply a thyroid issue that has
Mm.
been looked over and not addressed. And these women are paying for it literally and metaphorically.
Yeah, and what is something, if someone's going through that or in the future, is there anything else they could look for in that situation, or is it maybe just advocating more for additional markers on testing when they're going to their fertility doctor? Like, what would you recommend with that?
Yeah. So they need to get a full thyroid panel, and that's TSH, free T4, free T3, reverse T3, and antibodies,
Mhm.
TPO and thyroglobulin antibodies every single time. Not only is hypothyroidism associated with infertility, inability to get pregnant, stay pregnant, Hashimoto's carries a significant risk for the same, plus complications during pregnancy. And this is information women deserve to know.
I think that the thing that surprised me initially was just how much, as women, we're taking on in modern society, and
Mhm.
how sensitive our hormones are to that, and how we often put everyone else's needs before our own
Yes.
again, and don't consider that. And actually, I think women feel that it's too self-centered in many respects to put themselves first, but actually everybody is going to benefit when you can find that time. Just little things that really value you or put your self-care first. And it doesn't have to be long periods. And I think so as I went on that journey, I started to realize, there was a whole background for this disruption that I'd experienced. It didn't start with me having a cesarean section and developing postpartum depression. That's not where it started. It started, as I was explained to by the functional medicine doctor, with years of just putting work before my health, and there was a background really of probably like metabolic and hormonal stress that had really set the stage for what was to come. And also when I interviewed Dr. Sarah E. Hill, that was very transformational when I started to understand that, because of the PCOS and endometriosis, while it wasn't diagnosed until later, the doctors, the medical community have been very quick as a teenager to prescribe me birth control as a reason to resolve the fact that I wasn't having a regular menstrual cycle or was having heavy bleeding without looking into what the problems were. And what I understand from her work and her brilliant book is that, actually birth control at a young age can change the brain and predispose you to major depressive disorder, which is what I was later diagnosed with. And so it started as I interviewed more and more experts on my podcast and dove into their work. It started to become apparent to me what had happened and how I think it's not in a way not fair to women.
Well, yeah, and I think some of the early indications of fasting, intermittent fasting or time restricted feedings being successful is because the time when the person overeats, you just cut that out. And
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
eventually though, that's going to balance. But it's like, now to your
Right.
point,
Yes.
there's a reason why they're overeating at that time. And now they're super stressed and a bunch of survival mechanisms and hormones are turning on at that time when maybe it's at night and they should be sleeping. And it's like, well, let them eat at night.
Right. But you do have a good point. And we will, if we have clients who are like, oh, it's always like between 8 and 10 p.m., then we might say, eat your dinner, have a little treat.